Okay, this is Keys to My Mind, episode 5, and it's called Graduation. I started in USM in the summer of 1998. I went to go to summer school because I wanted to get an advantage on everybody. I wanted to know where all the spots were. I wanted to know my way around the campus. I wanted to get introduced to the professors, and I wanted to get introduced to college life. I never knew at the time that me going to summer school would really benefit me as much, and I'll tell you why. When I was going to USM, my major was journalism, so it was certain classes that I had to take to graduate. Now, one of these classes was called media law. Media law discussed libel and silver and slander, and basically it was telling you the things that you could not say, the things you could say, and the guidelines for you not to get sued or to get in trouble or to get fired from your job as a journalist. So I took this class in my sophomore year. They only taught this class in the spring semester. So if you take it one January, you couldn't take it again until next January. So I took this class my sophomore year in the January spring semester, and it was only one professor that taught this class or whatever. So this guy had a format that threw me off, like it messed me up. You only had 3 tests in the class. You did not have to attend. You only had 5 questions on the test. The 5 questions were worth 20 points apiece. So you would have to answer these questions like an essay. Like it would take 2 or 3 pages sometime to explain the concepts of what he was trying to say. A long story short is if it's 5 questions on the test and they're 20 points apiece, he only gave me like half credit for all of these questions. So I ended up with a 50 in the damn class, because I only got 50s on the test because he was only giving me 10 points out of the 20 of these 5 questions. So that really upset me. You know, it made me feel some kind of way because I went to class every day. I paid attention to what he said, and I knew that I had to have this class to graduate. So I'm gonna skip ahead here. When I got to my senior year, and I only needed like 40 hours or whatever to graduate. I only needed like 3 classes that were required. The other 40 hours, I could get it from anywhere. So the one class that was in my way was the same class, this media law. And I was a senior, so I was like, well, I gotta take it. And I had a timeline on when I wanted to graduate. So if I did not pass this class this time, I said that I was just not even gonna worry about it or whatever. I was just gonna say fuck college or whatever because I already been in there or whatever. But I had promised my parents that, you know, I was gonna try my hardest to get out because I really was just screwing around. Like, I never studied. I went to class half the time, I had sleep. I really just used the knowledge that was in my brain just to get by because I didn't care. I was like, well, as long as I get a C in the classes in my major. See, they had a new rule that was implemented in 1998, the fall semester. The new rule was you had to have a C in all the classes in your major. So I had to have a C. I couldn't just pass it with a D. I had to have a C in this class to pass. So the spring semester came or whatever, and I decided to go ahead and take the class, and the same rules applied. 20 points a question, 5 questions, 3 tests or whatever. So I knew that I was gonna have to go through the same shit that I went through before with this guy. Like I said, he was the only person that taught the class, so I knew that I was gonna have to go through this again. But this time I was more determined. Like, I was writing everything he was saying down. I had 3 or 4 notebooks. I was writing so much of that he was saying. I was even writing his jokes and shit down because my mind was so focused on passing this class, right? So long story short, and I met with this guy and I told him, you know, whatever. Long story short, this class that I took, a lot of people was not passing this class because of this format. So he had to start grading on the curve. So the curve would drop down like 10 points from what you needed to pass. Like, okay, the curve was so low on this class that if you got an 80 in the class, you got a B. If you got a 70 in there, you got a C. If you got a 60, you got a D. Because out of 200 people in the class, only like 3 people had A's in the class. So I was like, okay, I got this. Like, you know, I can do this now. But basically, history repeated itself. The guy, instead of giving me 10 points a question, he might give me 15. Long story short is, I ended up with a D in the damn class. Now, this was the second time that I took this class. So I would have to wait a whole nother year in January to take this class again. So I was like, man, I can't do it. Like, bro, I've been studying for this class. This guy, I told the guy, whoop de whoop. I had a roommate at the time. He was a white guy, and he was really smart, like fucking brilliant. So we were sitting here trying to figure out a way to pass this, get past this class without having to take it again next year. And me and him found a loophole in the student handbook. See, I started in the summer of 1998. So my handbook was from the year before, from the year of 97, because the 98 policies didn't apply until the fall semester of 1998. So basically, in the year before, you did not have to have a C in the classes in your major. All you had to have was a D to pass them. And I found this loophole, which I'm so glad that I went to summer school. Something kept telling me to go to summer school. Something kept telling me over and over and over to go. So I'm glad that I went. But I had to go and explain this, just like I'm explaining to y'all. I had to go to the dean of my college. I had to go to the dean of the College of Arts. I had to go to the dean of the university. I had to go to the associate dean. I basically had to go to like 4 different people and to get them to sign off to say that this was correct. And I had to explain this to them, like, the year before, my handbook is from 97 because I started in the summer of 98. So I had to go to 4 different people, and all 4 of them had to sign their signature to say that this was correct. So I thought, in my mind, I'm like, okay, the dean of the college of the whole University of Southern Mississippi will be the hardest person to. No. Surprisingly to me, the hardest person to get to sign the petition was the dean of my college, the dean of the College of Arts or Liberal Arts. And it was a lady, and she's like, I don't think this is correct. I don't think this is right. And I felt like a lawyer for the first time in my life. I had to present my case. She cross-examined me. And finally, when she really realized that I was correct on what I said, she signed the paper. So after she signed it, like I said, the other 2 people were breezy. The associate, the dean of the college or whatever, it was no problem. He was like, okay, did everybody else sign the paper? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, I'll sign it. So that loophole that I found in, about the student handbook, it helped me not to go to school in a year. So once I did that and I got this signed, I was able to go to Mexico, and I was able to take my foreign language, which was the only thing else that was missing from my requirements to graduate. So I got my degree in August of 2005.